quite a bit of our due diligence. So I did give her notice that we were, after speaking to our principals, we were pretty happy with our 4. So she certainly had notice of that. Number 2, we have yet to receive the appropriate visa from this person, and it needs to be a J1 visa. Maybe they have it. I always, anytime we are asked for what's our procedure, I always email the policy. I always have a conversation on the phone. She knew that they also have to have a J1 visa, but they have yet to actually produce that. So I did want to make those 2 points clear, that this specific agency, and the representative's name is Gaia, knew that we felt that we had, we were happy for. And again, it's not that we're opposed to foreign exchange students. It's just that we also have, we have to take a look at our class sizes and take in, if we take in a 5th one, tomorrow there might be 3 more. So I asked our, principals, what's your feeling on this? You have to run this building. You have the pulse of the building. What's your recommendation? So I thought that the board should know that before they actually vote on that. Thank you.
Any more questions for Steve?
Just a point of clarification.
4 is the maximum, that's our policy? Currently,
No, the
or is
policy
it de facto, or is it just this year?
No, the policy does not ever state, it has never stated a maximum. But what has been the procedure is that we ask the high school principals, we have a person who would like to have an exchange student. We also almost always have them done prior to the beginning of the school year. So this year we had 4. We felt that was adequate. And when that person asked us, well, would you take more? I said, well, this is the first time we've ever had 4. I mean, in the past it's been 1, sometimes none. So, we have to say to ourselves that, at what point do we say, do we go to 5? Do we go to 10? Do we go to 20? This company has 55 students placed in Pennsylvania. That's according to their own records. And we have 1 of them. This would be 2, taking us to 5. So, so that we're trying to be fair, I think it's important for the building principal to sound off on that. And both Mike and, Jeanette had said they were happy with 4. If we take a 5th, could we actually take a 5th? We probably could. But then where do we draw the line? So I asked the building principal, who I think has their feet on the ground, what they felt was, a recommendation.
And I guess my comment would be that my concern is that we don't have procedural things in place. Therefore, the community believes that we're still operating. This was a 6-month exchange student. So therefore, we'd start in January, and that's why that occurred that way. And all of her paperwork is in place because this company that deals with exchange students knows the policy about paperwork and visas. And we also have an age stipulation on our policy. So,
She's 16.
Right, she is 16, which is part of the policy. So I guess my concern is that right now we don't have that clarified, and therefore our community is not aware. And I appreciate the principal's point, but because we don't have the clarification and the policy doesn't have a stipulation on maximums, it has been an open-ended policy up until right
Here,
now.
let me just say, Part 4 in the guideline, it says 4, and the third part of that says students will be considered for admittance on a space available basis. And that has always been carried forth as a matter of policy through our building principal's recommendation. So I want to make that clear. We are not here to forge new ground. We are following our policy that we've always followed, and that is a determination that is made by a building principal. And then that's why the recommendation was made to the board, and the board could certainly vote on it and turn, the board could say, no, we will admit them. But I had to bring it to you with the recommendation that we are in fact denying it as an administration. So I just want to be clear that we are not doing anything that's out of the ordinary. It's just that they feel that they have plenty of representation, and that if we let this one in, then I guess we have to leave everyone in. And I don't think that that's what the policy says we have to do.
I think you also had a second issue, and that was the visa issue as well.
Correct. Which they could possibly remedy. by saying, oh, okay, we'll see that she has it in time. But I'm just saying, normally when you make application, you have all the paperwork in hand. And that has been how we've always handled it.
Question I have, documents I received said the visa was not in place. And so you're saying it is in place.
I don't think that they've received the application per
Sure,
se.
sure we have. We have received all their paperwork via email as they have always done it. And in the past, we have received the J1 visa with them, and that was not in this packet. It may have been an oversight, but I had asked for all the documentation.
I would be interested to see, because I do believe that the appropriate paperwork was done. And that's what I was told, so.
So going forward, you have a third party that gathers all the information, forwards it to Mr. First?
Yes.
The company apparently, and the family, and the sponsor family, right?
Steve, is there any reason this can't come back at a future meeting?
No.
I mean, thinking we're this close with the holidays and everything, and there is going to be a break, would it not be appropriate then just, have you done the follow-up email that said you missed this visa? If you don't have it, if you have it, please forward it to me.
I believe I did, but I can call
Okay.
her tomorrow. I would call her for that at this point. I wouldn't just email her. So I can call tomorrow.
Just make, electronic media some days and everything, we know what can happen. Are there any other questions?
What if this person is 6'10" and plays basketball? Yeah, you're cutting them out.
She's not.
That would even be better. A girl and plays basketball. I apologize for my
We need some.
We also have a recommendation from the principals that 4 is enough at this point in time. And I think what makes sense in a foreign exchange is that it start at the beginning of the year. Obviously, you want the full academic educational experience. So I would want to go along with the administration. People should be making that decision. I think to look at the policy would be an excellent idea.
I made that note.
To do that.
Okay, are there any other questions? If not, the motion currently on the floor is to deny. All those in favor of denying, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Do you have that recorded? There's only one no. Thank you. Moving on, we have CIT appointments. We actually have 2 seats currently open at the CIT, one until December 2014, and the other until December 2012. I understand that we have 2 members that are interested, Frank and Bill. Do we flip a coin to decide who is 12 and who is 14?
I'll do the 12 since I'm the other state's person.
Very fair. And that means, sir, you are 14. And I believe there is a meeting on Thursday night, correct?
There is a meeting on Thursday night.
Okay. With that being heard, can I have a motion for the appointment of those 2?
I'll move that both of them be appointed to the end of the term,
That
to
they
the end of the term they're filling.
Okay. Very good. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments, except for wishing them good luck? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill, I just wanted you to know that I've acted as chairman of that delegation. And so usually I give the report, and if the other 2 want to say something I missed, then they're free to say that.
Very
So
good.
I've been there 10 years now, and Mr. Roth usually calls me and tells me to get to the other 2 members. Easton, I just want to say this real quick. Easton has 3 votes. Nazareth has 2, Bangor has 2, Wilson has 1, and Penargil has 1. So our 3 votes are very, very important when you're there, because it only takes 2 others, well, actually 2 other schools to go with us, and we could get a motion through.
Very good, thank you. The next item, approving dates for the regular board meetings. We must discuss that, but I'd like to try to get through the rest of the agenda, and we'll come back to that one. So moving ahead, new business policies. There was a policy put out, 204.1, about medical excuses. There is number 11, which is new business financial matters, which is the memorial scholarship we heard about. If we don't have anything else, we have the ski club transportation, student activity account for the tech crew, refund requests, and financial matters of paying our bills, which I think is rather important. If I can have a motion to cover all those?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The next one, just have to confer to make sure that we have the right ones that we're going to talk about. Okay. I'm sorry about that. On the addendum, Estonian and fly gun contracts, they were sent out. Do we have a motion for their approval? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to be pulling B back because, B we've discussed. So if I can have a motion for settlement number 09CB 5730. Motion, make the other one a second. Have a motion and second. That is non-discussable. So all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Settlement under letter C and the D, Route 33 TIF is going to be held for further discussion. And at that point, we're down to interested citizens talking about non-agenda items. Is there anybody on that? Go here first and then over to Rick.
My name is Ronnie Del Bacco from Southside. The policy currently says that citizens need to put their requests in writing. I'm going to say what they are, but I also have copies to pass around to the board members. So you have a written copy in front of you of my request. Dr. Volcano, would you pass these, please? There's just one for each board member. My first concern is regarding spelling. I brought up the matter in a meeting, I believe, at the end of September, early October, about spelling being removed from the curriculum this year. I was referred to Dr. Roberts, who kindly sent me a letter 10 days after the meeting explaining that spelling was taken out as a graded item, but it's included within the curriculum and the context of the stories that the kids learn. Yet the actual spelling receives no grade. An example of why this matters, my daughter came home with a B on the test in reading, and 3 spelling errors were marked, but she was not given points taken off for those errors. And I tried to get her to correct them, I made her correct them, but she argued with me that the teacher doesn't make them spell it right, that she doesn't have to worry about spelling. This is a concern because spelling is a fundamental skill. It's a basic skill that our kids need to learn, and it should not have been taken out of the curriculum. The reason that I got in Dr. Roberts' letter was that they're following the recommendations of the National Middle School Association. We don't pay our administrators to follow the recommendations of an unseen, unaccountable National Association. I think that our administration needs to decide those things locally. Our parents need to know, and our school district needs to know that our kids are learning the fundamentals and basics, like spelling. My request is that the board immediately reinstate a graded spelling program at each grade level, and I've detailed my arguments for that. Also, my request, part B of that request, is that the administrators who perpetrated this without doing their own job and finding out what the community wants our kids to be taught, have an immediate review of their salaries. Not because of this issue, but this issue is a symptom of the problem with administrative salaries being too high and not really doing the job that earns those salaries. If they're simply going to accept the recommendations of a national association anyone who's not a doctorate or any citizen can accept recommendations from a national association. I think that we need to talk to our students, our parents, our administrators, teachers, community leaders, and find out in our area what we want to teach our kids and how we want them to learn it. Spelling should not be taken out of the school, and I think that the administrators who just made that decision need to be looked at and reviewed for salary reasons. My second concern, currently the district policy on curriculum review as requested by parents only allows for one review per semester. That means that if I have more concerns than just one each semester, I have to wait until the next semester to bring up that concern. I'd like the district to review that policy and make it so that parents can bring up more than one concern within a semester if they see an issue that needs to be addressed for the benefit of their child's education. I'll move a little quicker through here. You have the details in the notes. My third concern is Hollywood movies being shown in the classroom. Recently, a PG movie was shown in...
Ron, just to interrupt you. I am going to let you finish, but we do have to be cognizant of that, and I forgot about that, so my mistake this time.
May I ask a question on that note?
Yes, please.
During the campaigns, a couple of the candidates had said that they're going to try to get the comment section for citizens extended. Is that going to be a consideration?
I believe that's going to come up under policy. So.
Okay, I'll go real quick.
Very.
Hollywood movies are shown in schools without parental permission, and I think it's at the discretion of the administrator. I recently had a problem in 5th grade where a PG movie was shown without permission asked. My request is that we make it district policy to eliminate the showing of all Hollywood movies to avoid the possibility of the usurpation of parental authority. That's a serious matter. And my fourth concern is simply a comment that was made during the campaign about eliminating the financial responsibility to the taxpayer. I know that that's not possible, but my greater question to that effect is, will you as school directors look into supporting state legislation such as the House Bill 1776? I've included a link on the last page where you can see what that is, which effectively takes eliminates the property tax in favor of a consumption tax and levels the playing field to fund school districts. That's all I have. If you have any questions, my contact information is there. And if anyone else is interested, I have 2 more copies. I'll leave them here on the podium. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
President?
Yes, I got to get used to the buzzer.
I know. As you new board members move forward, I hope you take your job with a sense of pride, protect the district, protect education. To some extent, the members of the workforce need to protect their job. Dr. Duffy some time ago commented we're being inundated by students from all kinds of places under all kinds of wrong reasons. I think it's far worse. But let me comment on the exchange student. And I want to ask you a couple trick questions. Which is actually an F1 student visa status. Can an F1 student status person attend a charter school? True or false? Under what circumstances? If you don't know the answer, that's part of the problem, because the rules are very, very complex, and you always wind up losing. Technically speaking, I think the answer is, the federal government says you must charge tuition. The state government says you cannot charge tuition. Therefore, the null set is the only appropriate answer. Number 2, going back to the question Mr. First raised. If you check the visa, it's an easy way to help solve your problems. True or false? There is no answer to the question because technically the state says you're not allowed to check visas. How convenient. Next one. How difficult is it to enroll a student from 100 miles away in a local charter school and send the bill to Easton? Now, you knew the answer to that one before I asked it. Okay? Let me ask you another one. That's a simple question. How difficult is it to enroll students in Mexico in a cyber charter school using an address of convenience and send the bill to your local school, such as Easton? You knew the answer to that one too. Great. Okay? Now, if I run a business, and Dr. Volcano and I discussed this sometime a few years ago, if I run a business of importing students, or whatever, and Drew Anderson takes in a bunch of affidavit students and sends them to you, how much money can I collect and still claim that I'm taking them in gratis? Now, that's a trick question. Remember, I'm required to bring them in gratis, right? Well, the state has handed you a real can of worms. It says I can accept all the public sector money I want, and I pretty much can accept all the private sector direct payment from the parents I want. And it's thrown out the meaning of the word gratis, so I can run a business of bringing students in. And if they don't attend the private school, I'll send them to you under a series of subterfuges, and you eat it. So the common problem is you come from Phillipsburg to Easton, but there are very, very, very complex issues where we can wind up with very expensive students, and it's not an easy job for you folks. I'm wishing you well, and I'll be glad to help by being a devil's advocate at times.
Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to address the board?
Noelle Jones, 800 Ferry Street in the West Ward. And I'm also the host of the Neighbors of Easton blog. I just wanted to welcome all the new members and say how excited residents that I've talked to are about all of the new faces on the board, and that they have high hopes that this will turn into both good programming for the students and fiscal responsibility on behalf of taxpayers that are still struggling in this economy without any sign of it getting better anytime soon. So especially with all of the depth of experience that some of you have in the school districts and the passion that you have for kids, I would just ask that to try to keep both of those in mind at all times, the benefit to the children and the struggle of the taxpayers right now. And since sometimes the public comment section at these meetings can get a little dicey, I wanted to take the opportunity to just come up and welcome you and say everyone I've talked to is really excited that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there anyone else this evening? Seeing no hands, nobody moving to the podium, we will move on. Any correspondence to be acknowledged? Miscellaneous committee reports, the IU report.
Our next meeting is December 14th. It's the combination November-December meeting, so the next time we meet, I will have a review for you.
Public library?
Mr. President, library board meeting was held on Election Day, and unfortunately I had other duties that day, so I wasn't able to attend. But they're continuing to work on their budget. You have the minutes from that meeting in your packet. If there's any questions, you can ask me and I'll figure things out.
Thank you. CIT?
CIT has finished their solar power project. They have a little bit of difference with the township. I've signed all the contracts and so forth. I'm sure that will be worked out, and I'm pretty sure that maybe as soon as January that they may go online. And at that point we will ask the different schools that represent, that are part of part of the Career Institute of Technology to come up and see our project. And because it's going to save us money, and it's a project that you could work on, that the other 5 school districts could work on and save money. And new members, I'm sure, will be shown the project sometime during December.
Excellent. Thank you. Community college.
The community college, basically, there's going to be a special meeting in December, and that special meeting may pick the new president. And they've been working on this since June now, and they narrowed it down to 3, and everybody had a chance to interview those 3, and it's going to be one of those 3 are going to be brought before the board, and they're going to do it in September. In December, I do not know, and I don't think anybody on the board actually knows, is when that person will be taken over. We might just let them, Dr. Scott, go to the end of the year and then have that person take over. That, to me, would seem to be
July
the
1st.
easiest way to do it.
July 1st.
Yeah, July 1st, and then we could have, it's quite an elaborate ceremony when you install a new president, and we would have time to do that over the summer.
Are there any comments by any of the board members looking around? Any updates? Sure.
Just like to make the board and the public aware of a wonderful program that I had the opportunity with my wife to attend, and that was an open house last Thursday at Cheston Elementary School. There is an activity called the Cheston Cougars Learning Club, and it is probably one of the finest consortiums I've seen of public, parents, teachers, Lafayette College students, retired teachers, United Way, and the Family Connection. And this is something I can heartily recommend to you to be either personally involved in or be aware of, because they need our support. And it was quite delightful to be able to work with the young children, and they're among the neediest of the children in that community. And I think from the reaction I got from the various staff members, it is well appreciated by both the students and their parents. So that's kudos to Ms. Piazza and the group.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Seeing none. I think at this point in time, I'm going to recess this meeting because we're going to go back and continue our deliberation on some legal matters. At that point, we will return, and when we return, we will address those matters that were on tonight's agenda. And after that, we're going to have a discussion about our board meeting dates, and upon the completion of that, we will then adjourn the meeting, and which, after that adjournment, we are still going to continue to have one further executive session, which we'll report on at the next meeting. So you're welcome to stay, your choice, but there's only a few items left that way. So can I have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Can I have a second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.